clearly, smartly, and straight to the point.
Politics, business, security, health, society. Nothing escapes the spotlight.
Studio time check, a minute gone past the hour of 8 o'clock is the 6th day in the month of August 2026. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to From the Dailies, reaching you on your super down station, Melody 107.7 FM. Like we do say, this is where we get to keep you informed, educated, and entertained all day long. I am Roland Imoyera. Welcome to this morning's package of our program. From the Dailies is where we get to take you through stories that made it to the pages of the papers for the day. Not just the front pages alone, as well as we'll bring you details from the inside pages of the papers for the day. That's what we do on this time on this program, coming up every Mondays to Saturdays from the hours of 8 to 8:30 a.m. Thanks for joining us this morning. And don't forget, you can be a part of the program by calling the studio lines to at the right time, when we'll be opening the studio lines for you to share your thoughts and opinions on any of the stories that will resonate with you in the course of the program for the day. And this morning, I'll be taking you through stories that made it to the pages of The Punch, the Nigerian Tribune, The Nation, The Vanguard, as well as the Daily Trust newspapers. For you just joining us for the first time, our Facebook page is there for you to watch us live, leave your comments, and we will sure take them as we go along in the course of the program for the day. You can as well drop your comments for us on our WhatsApp page this morning. Let me kickstart this morning with the stories from the front page of the Punch newspaper for today. Tinubu is military as 308 Kwara Niger abductees rescued. Okay, that's on page 7 of the paper. It's a very good one. We started seeing that story in the late hours of yesterday, talking about how the military successfully rescued 308 people and victims now from Kwara and Niger states. It's a very good one. Due to the high number of victims that were rescued, we should give our security agencies kudos for that one. It's not been an easy feat, but well, at the end of the day, they got these victims out. It's a very good one. I will say kudos to the military for that. NBA faults EFCC as Osun account freeze sparks row. And that's one of the biggest stories making the headlines across most of the papers for today, talking about EFCC's freezing of Osun State government account some few days to the election. But NBA, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, is faulting the EFCC as Osun account freeze sparks row. It has the right that opposition accused federal government of using EFCC to weaken Adeleke 10 days to governorship poll. Election timing irrelevant. Suspicious transfer forced Osun account freeze, says EFCC as Osun government kicks. NBA lawyers insist EFCC must obtain court order before freezing government accounts. The back and forth as the build-up to the Osun State election continues. Some will tell you it might even be the hands of the opposition now, who are trying so hard to wrest power from that particular state now at play in this context. But whatever it is, I believe over the time, over the days, as we get closer to the election, so many things will be available. But what most Nigerians want in this particular context is the fact that we just want a peaceful election that is perceived to be free, fair, and credible, without one side trying to oppress the other. Just depends on whichever divide we are looking at it at the moment. And little wonder critics will tell you, some weeks ago, it's been the police that the government has been accusing of trying to intimidate the state government, in that particular state. But right now, the EFCC has come out to freeze the account. The NBA is coming to say the EFCC do not have the legal right now to freeze this account. But the EFCC on its part are coming out to say, well, they notice suspicious movement in the account, and this is why they had to freeze this particular state account. But we've seen elections pans out in other APC states, APC control states. Why is it that we do not witness, or we do not really see issues like this? The tension was not that, it's not really that high. But this is an opposition state, and we are witnessing this, at this particular time. We are not saying if the EFCC noticed anything that is illegal in the financial dealings in that particular state, that they cannot abort. Well, whatever it is, like the NBA is saying, they have to act within the ambit of the law, and they must be made to be seen, not to be partisan, not to be divided, not to be used by the ruling party from the top. Well, I know you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm moving on now to other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper for today. Fake agency probe, Adeyemi rejects closed door rep squeeze. That's on page 9 of the paper. Just yesterday, 2 days ago, we heard that the reps saying they are going to quiz this particular man in an undisclosed location and on an undisclosed date. So right now, the alleged director general now, let me say the self-styled director general, has come to reject the closed door meeting with this House of Representatives. He wants to be heard. He wants his voice to be heard in public. Now people have been saying Nigerians really want to hear a side of the story, so that when the final report is actually released by the House of Representatives, all sides will be given a fair hearing. Now that's what we just want in this particular case before the courts finally decide what to do with the man. Don't forget, he is innocent until proven guilty. That's what the law says in Nigeria. And some will tell you that, well, maybe the reps are trying to hide one or two, or trying to prevent more heads from rolling, or prevent so many other MDAs and high-profile individuals from being indicted in this case. But whatever it is, I think the same momentum I was given to other MDAs, who spoke publicly, who were addressed and questioned publicly, I think should be extended, and the same courtesy now should be extended to this particular individual in this case. So that is right. So feel very well to, giving a free speech now in the country, one way or other, will not be perceived to have been stifled in this regard. Moving on now, on page 9 of the paper, we've got the story, WAEC results reveal 38.5% failed 5 key subjects. Alright, WAEC results reveal 38.5% failed 5 key subjects. And moving on, bus preaching ban threatens religious freedom. That is coming from the PFN. You can follow up that story on page 7 of the Punch for this morning. And that brings us to the end of the stories we can take from the Punch newspaper for today. You can pick up a copy of the Punch if you want to get the details of most of those stories that we read out to you from the page and from the front page of the Punch for this morning. Alright, moving on now to the Nation newspaper for today. Consultations with religious bodies to go on, says SGF. It has the right and no plan for one-party state. We all know the back and forth between the presidency and the Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, especially the attack on Cardinal Onoikon, who has been coming out to, give out the real details of what transpired between their meeting with the federal government in, I think, last week or thereabouts. So right now, the federal government is coming out to say consultations with religious bodies to go on. That is coming from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. They also reiterated that there is no plan for a one-party state. And that's all you can get on page 5 of the Nation newspaper for this morning. And still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, from welfare to war fighting, Tinubu rebuilding armed forces. Yeah, that's on page 2 of the paper. Federal government workers to get wage award orders before end of the month. And that is a very encouraging one. You can get up that story on page 8 of the Nation newspaper for this morning. Federal government workers to get wage award orders before end of the month. Well, we should give kudos to the federal government for trying to prioritize the welfare of workers at this critical time where the effects of its policies are really biting hard on ordinary citizens of the country. I think this is a welcome development to avoid any chaos and crisis in that particular sector. And we should just realize that some days ago, the presidency also approved an increase in the wage award for our military personnel, which so many people have been saying it's a welcome development. And that's a good one, knowing fully well that the federal government is really prioritizing the welfare of workers at this time. And still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, Adeleke kicks as EFCC explains Osun State account freeze. Okay, we took that from the Punch newspaper a while back, but you can read up that on page 27 of the Nation newspaper for today. And still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, troops, DSS freed 308 in biggest rescue operation. Wow, that's a very good one. The largest we've seen so far in recent time. As Tinubu is intelligence-driven action that brought back Kwara, Niger victims. Whatever it is that they did that led to the rescue of this, what I believe should be translated as well to the rescue of students that are still being held captivity in the northern part of the country. Just after the release of the Oriri students, we've been getting back and forth, from different security expert analysis as well as the security agencies themselves trying to explain to us the reasons why there is a slight delay in rescuing of this particular children. But what we want is for these people to be freed, just like the 308 from Kwara and Niger were just rescued yesterday. It's a very good one, and we know that the fight against these bandits and terrorists is getting to the peak, and the security agencies is really taking the fight to them in their domain. And still on the Nation newspaper, reforms behind quoted companies, big profits growth. 65% pass recorded in WASC, 1,067,486 results with L. That's on page 18 of the paper. And that's the story you can get from the front page of the Nation newspapers for this morning. And moving on now to the Vanguard newspaper for today. NESG says business confidence rising despite soaring costs. And that's on page 19 of the Vanguard for this morning. And still from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, federal government orders payment of civil servants outstanding wage award before August 15. And that's on page 8 of the Vanguard today. NICOM revokes Nigeria reinsurance license. You can get that on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Outrage greets EFCC's freezing of Osun government account. Of course, we will definitely get different reactions, different sides to it, while so many people will be perceiving this as a witch hunt. So many people will be perceiving this as trying to intimidate the state government. Don't forget, the governorship, the governor of that state is contesting this is for a second term in office under the platform of the Accord Party. And the APC as well as really positioning himself to wrest power away from him. We'll be getting back and forth from that state for quite some weeks now, talking about from the extrajudicial killings in that state to the allegations from the state government that the police is being used to intimidate key leaders now of not just the government but of the political parties. We've also seen the IG redeploying a commissioner of police to come and be in charge of election activities in that particular state. And right now it's the EFCC who is freezing the account of who has freezed now the account of Osun State government, declaring that where we detect some unusual movements, financial activities in the particular context. The EFCC also said they've been investigating this particular state government account for quite a while now. So it's not just something that just came out of the blues. Okay, so it tells the rider why we froze accounts. That is coming from The EFCC has identified to challenge action in court. Anti-graft agency lacks power to freeze account, Osun Attorney General. It's an attempt to aid APC, that is credited to the Accord Party. This is political terrorism. The ADC is also lending its voice in this contest. Lawyer slams EFCC, call for adherence to due process. Different reactions, different sides to this. What do you think about this whole saga in Osun State? The studio lines are now open for you to call in to share your thoughts concerning any of the stories that we've read out to you so far. You can reach us via 0906 201 1077 0906 201 1077, and you can as well call us on 0704 800 1077 0704 800 1077 to lend your thoughts and opinions on this particular issue or any other one that have resonated with you in the course of the program for this morning. And still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, WAEC releases 2026 results as 1.2 million candidates pass English, Math. That's on page 9 of the paper. Corruption claims, police accountability inside the VDM AIG Jimbo saga. If you want to follow up on the back and forth between the police and the activists now, VDM, well, you can read up on page 7 of the Vanguard for their particular one. Let's move on to other stories now. Federal government to deepen consultations with Catholic bishops. That is coming from the SGF as Obi Kwankwaso defend Onaikon Catholic bishops. All right, some will be coming out to say the reaction and the criticisms from the federal government in this particular context is just not so welcoming. Well, the federal government will not sit down and watch as if any person now perceived to be on the other side of the divide now wants to run what they claimed it's the right thing that they are doing. All right, but one way or the other will be made to understand that the Catholic bishops on their part say they are taking the feelings of the other Nigerians. Now they just wanted the president to know the truth, which they've been able to say to his face, because they perceived that most people surrounding the president has not really been telling him the truth. So they just wanted the president to see for himself, to know the feel of the people, the ordinary Nigerians, and the reactions have been going back and forth for quite a while now. But right now the SGF is coming out again to reiterate that the federal government is set to deepen consultations with the Catholic bishops. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard for this morning. And still on the Vanguard newspaper, your Rainbow Coalition will be tested in 2027. Farah Dagogo tells Wiki. That's on page 12 of the paper. All right, still on the front page of the paper, we have the cartoon Mr. and Mrs. But well, those are the stories you can get this morning from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper for today. Alright, so the lines are still open now for you to call in to share your thoughts. You can reach us via 0906 201 1077. You can as well call us on 0704 800 1077. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for this morning. From the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, we have this interesting headlines as well. Nigeria's domestic economy expanded by 3.87% in 2025. That is coming from the CBN. It's on page 7 of the paper. Troops rescued 308 abducted in Kwara, Niger, as military pressure forces 17 family members of terrorist group to surrender in Borno. That story is on page 5 and on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning. And a big bold one on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Anger as EFCC freezes Osun government account. That's on page 3. It's coming with this rider. This is power abuse taken too far. Imoyera campaign council action unlawful, politically motivated. Accord national chairman. It is political terrorism. ADC. State government accused. Okay, state government goes to court. Why account was frozen? EFCC. 15,000 police officers deployed. Like I did mention earlier, that's about the biggest story we can get across the pages of the papers for this morning, talking about the crisis in Osun State. There is a crisis, not a political back and forth, whatever way we want to look at it, it's a crisis one way or the other as the build up to the election unfolds. And so from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, federal government to pay outstanding wages award to public servants before mid-August. That's on page 12 of the paper. Makinde Obi blame Nigeria's woes on poor leadership. You can get that on page 5 of the paper for today. And so from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, female candidates lead as WAEC releases 2026 May-June WASC result. That's on page 10 of the paper. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, Oyebanji Award Spelling Bee World Champion full scholarship gives students school